In Alberta just 5 years ago, and at a cost of $650,000, the 2020 Fair Deal panel, led by Jason Kenney's government, introduced the idea of a provincial police force. Albertans have already paid for this debate, and now, only a few short years later, it's back. In 2022, Alberta municipalities, representing over 260 communities, conducted polling to demonstrate to both the provincial government and the public that their advocacy was rooted in the actual opinions of Albertans, not just municipal leaders. The 2022 polling found that only 26% of Albertans supported replacing the RCMP, especially in the absence of clear evidence that it would improve service or be more affordable. The result? Over 70% of member municipalities voted against the provincial government's proposal to replace the RCMP with a new provincial police force. In fact, independent polling and surveys in 2023 and 2024 show that the majority of Albertans and municipalities still remain opposed to replacing the RCMP with a new provincial police service. So why now? Why take on this expense during rising debt, without clear public support or consent? Smith justifies the spending as necessary to ensure Alberta's policing future and provide local choice, despite the province's rising debt and spending. Critics argue the move is fiscally irresponsible without clear public support, cost transparency, or evidence of improved outcomes. As the Danielle Smith Alberta Sheriffs Police Service advances, the question persists: was this decision ever up for public input, or are Albertans just simply being handed the bill? On July 2nd, 2025, Premier Danielle Smith officially launched Alberta's new provincial police force, the Alberta Sheriffs Police Service, expanding the Alberta Sheriffs into a full-fledged province-led law enforcement option. A July 2nd, 2025 report states, Budget 2025 already accounts for the costs of the police force, noting it includes $6 million in 2025 to 2026, $7 million in 2026 to 2027, and $7 million in 2027 to 2028 to support an implementation team, initial leadership, and planning and implementation. So, is this just the beginning of even higher costs? In 2023, Grande Prairie became the first and leading example, effectively the pilot project, for Alberta's municipal police transition away from the RCMP. Originally pitched as a bold experiment, it's already received nearly $17 million in provincial funding, and the total cost is approaching $19 million. And that's just for one mid-sized city. And these costs are being covered not by Grande Prairie alone, but by taxpayers across Alberta. While the provincial police plan is currently limited to startup funding and relies on existing resources, fully scaling it to replace the RCMP would result in operational costs far exceeding both Grande Prairie's transition expenses and the early-stage allocations announced to date. In 2025, Danielle Smith also committed up to $29 million in new taxpayer funding to launch interdiction patrol teams, an entirely new unit within the Alberta Sheriffs. Focused on border security and smuggling, this initiative adds 51 officers and infrastructure, marking a significant new expense for Albertans. And what about the people? Polls consistently show that most Albertans still prioritize healthcare, education, and affordability. A provincial police force? It's rarely in the top 5. And who pays for it? Alberta taxpayers. Whether or not Albertans were consulted or agree, all Albertans pay for the contracts with the new service. The province is funding its expansion through general revenues. And unlike the RCMP, which is partially federally funded, the ASPS will be fully financed by Albertans. That's not just more control, it's also more cost. The clearest beneficiaries so far appear to be the Smith government's political base, and potentially the private contractors who may eventually be awarded $35 million in funding for enforcement infrastructure contracts. The Smith government says this is about Alberta's future. But with rising debt, undisclosed operational costs, and no new public mandate, it may be less about future safety and more about political strategy. As Albertans watch the bills arrive, the question remains: is this about protecting communities or protecting political control? Is this what Albertans are asking for, or is Premier Danielle Smith simply making decisions and then handing taxpayers the bills? If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like to support fact-based reporting. Share this video with other Albertans who deserve to know where their tax dollars are going. And don't forget to subscribe for more real talk on real Alberta issues, because informed citizens make stronger communities.